Third segment is marketing. Make sure you are promoting your book a year before it is published. We're going to talk about press release, book signing, and lots of tips to help you get started. To marketing. I believe.
Tim, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Tim, were you going first, Tim?
Or do you want me to?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, why don't you start, Ken? I'll take notes.
Okay, well, there are a lot of different ways I could suggest. Remember back today when we were talking about editing, and I suggested that you go onto social media and get people to review it. I want to come back to that now. Those people who reviewed it for you, they sent you a lot of comments. Okay, some of the comments are going to be good, some are going to be bad. So what you can do is go through those comments, extract the good comments, make it a good one, make the whole review good. Now, before you can publish that, you send it back to the person who sent those comments and said, this is what I did with your comments. Are you okay with it? Can I use this as a testimonial quote? If they say yes, great, you've got a testimonial quote now. You want to get as many testimonial quotes as you can. Always ask for an honest review. Don't ever say to someone, will you give me a good review on Amazon? But you can say, would you give me an honest review? And then just hope it's a good one. But with these comments that you've just created good reviews out of, when your book comes out on the launch day, on the day it launches, send that exact comment back to the person who wrote it, and also have a link to your book page. That's the same page where the reviews go. And just say, here's what you said about my book. Would you be willing to post this as a review? Here's the link. It's real easy. You've made it so easy. You've written the review. You've given them the link. Hopefully they'll give you a nice review. And that's one real important way. You take that review, you put it on your website, you put it on the book page on Amazon, Smashwords, wherever they're willing to post it. That's one good way. Another way, press releases. Probably a lot of you have probably written press releases before. Remember, outlets are hungry. News outlets are hungry for news because they've laid off all their staff, so they don't have anyone writing. So they're looking for good articles, for well-written pieces. So if you write a well-written piece about your book, they're going to look at it as news, and that's free publicity for you. They'll post it on their press, hopefully in their online version. You can also post it on your website. They're easy to write. They're 500 words max, for your book. Again, I've got a chapter about this, so I encourage you to check that out. There used to be companies that would post press releases for free for you. I used a lot of them in the past. It was nice that they were free. The truth was, I don't know if any of them picked up, got picked up anywhere. Nowadays, though, you have professional professional press release companies. The one I used for my latest book was called E-Releases. And they did a pretty good job. You got to pay for that. That's not a free anymore, but they at least get it out to a lot of sources. I got it picked up. I got some really nice reviews as a result of it. So keep that in mind. And plus, if you know how to write press releases, you can make a lot of money from companies that want you to promote, write press releases for them. I used to write press releases for a company that sold hospital equipment, high-end hospital equipment. Every time they made a sale, I would write a press release, $400, poof, just like that. So press releases are real good. Tim, do you want to take some, or want me to keep on going?
Yeah, I think it's important that we preface the marketing discussion with a reminder that marketing is really the hardest part of the business. You're really climbing a very tall mountain. And it's useful to keep two things in mind. First, we are in an extremely competitive marketplace. Forbes estimated that 2 years ago, there was something like 750,000 new titles released to Amazon in English in just 1 year. And they have many millions of book titles already in print. So you need to think about, how can I get my book to stand out, right? And in order to do that, you want to think about, who is my target audience? Who are the kinds of people that they would reach? If they read my book, it would resonate with them, it would move them, it would ennoble them, it would make them laugh, it would change them in some way. You have to think about, who are those people, and then how do I get information in front of them? How do I get them to know about the book? Now Ken mentioned blurbs. Blurbs are good. Getting blurbs from friends or colleagues or professionals or other people in the field, other authors, they're good because you can put them in the front of your book, and you can put them, and it looks impressive. But a blurb, in my opinion, it has a limited impact on a potential customer. And the reason is, they may say, oh, that's his brother-in-law. Oh, that's the guy he works with, right? I mean, you know, they can be helpful, but some people, customers are going to take it with a grain of salt. It's the review that is thought to be more objective, more reliable, right? The review or the feature article about you as a writer. Those are the two, because the journalist is more or less an objective observer of you, or a review of your book. So you want to try and get interviews, profiles, and you want to get reviews from people who you don't know personally. Now, as a self-published author, it's tricky, it's a challenge to get reviews, but there are some avenues. There are some journals, and there are some review companies that will consider them. Publishers Weekly has started accepting self-published book. They have a separate category for that. It's still very tough to get reviewed in PW. It's very tough because they get thousands and thousands of submissions every month. But it's worth a shot. There's a company that used to be a free reviewer. They now charge a fee, $100 or $150 or more. It's called Kirkus. I would stay away from Kirkus, okay? Because they are notorious for writing bad reviews. They're notorious. You pay them $150, $200, and they give a blistering critique of the book. So I would stay away from Kirkus. One way for you to think about getting reviews is for you to start writing reviews yourself of other books. Find a journal that reviews the kind of book that you're writing. Let's say you're writing a book of poetry. So you write to Poetry Magazine and say, oh, so-and-so has a new poetry book. I'd like to review it for you, no charge. Great. I know the NW doesn't like to promote free writing, but in this case, you write the review for the journal, you send it to them, then you do another, then you do another. You develop a personal relationship with that editor. Then when your book comes out, right, you've got a connection, and you have a better chance of getting a shot at it. Reviews are sometimes called testimonials, and those are the things that you want to put in front of the reader. And the other thing is advertising. Okay, in the past, I have paid for banner advertising on websites. I paid for a banner ad on the top of You Go Girl, which is a journal for Black women readers and writers, and it ran for a month. I think I got one sale out of it. One. I paid $500 to have my book listed on a bunch of websites that announce new books. And supposedly readers go to these sites hungry for information, and they see the book release. And the marketing person that I used had told me, oh, we used this company last month, and we got 1,000 Amazon reviews. 1,000 Amazon, we got 1,000 clicks, and we got 100 Amazon reader reviews out of it. $500. Great, I spent it. Zero. So I would be very careful about spending money for advertising. I have a friend who put my company logo on their website as an ad, free for a month. It says, Tim, you got like 4,000 clicks or something, some crazy number. I don't know if I got a single sale out of it. I just don't know. There's only one type of advertising that I think is promising, and that is Kindle has an advertising, a promotion where you only pay when they click on it. If they don't click on it, you don't pay, and you can set a budget. So you can say, all right, I want to spend $10 a week, $20 a week, $15 a week. And if people click on it, they'll keep seeing this ad until your budget is met, and then they'll withdraw it. What they do is, if you go to Kindle, and let's say you look up a book, and you see a book listed on the Kindle, if you scroll down the page, you'll see people also looked at these books. People who like this book, they also looked at these books. Well, guess what? Those are actually ads. Those are actually people paid, but Kindle will put your book down below a popular book that's in the same genre as yours, and customers are invited to click on it to see what it's about. I think, to me, if you're going to spend money on advertising, that's probably the most bang from your buck that you're going to get, is something where you pay per click, and again, you set your budget.
That's under Tim. That's under
KDP.
Author Central under Amazon. It's called Author Central under Amazon.
Right.
And as an author, a publisher of your book, you have a right to sign up to that. Right.
Now, someone asked about social media. Is social media an effective way to promote your book? I publish labor and social justice stories, and so I've made friends with a number of Facebook labor pages, right? You know, Union Thugs for Justice and all this stuff. And, you know, so you have to take part in the conversation. You have to comment and like things and be part of the conversation. I don't know that I got any sales out of posting on Facebook. I'm not aware of any, but it does build your brand recognition. So it gets your face out there, it gets your name out there. That can't hurt, but I don't know that Facebook is at all effective for selling your book. Same thing with Instagram. I have a colleague who posts reviews and images and events to Instagram. People like it. I don't know that they buy from it, right? To purchase, I think there's an old saw, they say in marketing, that if they like you, they'll like the book. And so it's really helpful to get personal appearances. It may be on a Zoom appearance, it may be a radio interview, it may be a TV interview in a local channel, it may be at a conference that you're attending, but the more that you can get people to see and hear your face and your voice and get to know you, I think that's one of the better chances you have of getting them to actually put their money out, which is really the hard part.
I agree totally with you, Tim, on that, because I know for a fact that on Facebook and usually after a while people, and you know yourself when you're on Facebook and people are always begging, you know, buy my book, buy this, buy that, you get tired of hearing it. I get tired of it. So I know they would get tired of me begging all the time. But I think Tim is right. Really think about when you're marketing your book, you're really marketing yourself. You really are. People get to know you. People walk up to you at these festivals. Think of when you're selling your book, think outside the box. Don't think traditional when you're selling your book. Think of always carry your books with you. That's my motto. If you throw yourself a big birthday party, tell people, don't buy me a gift, buy my book. Everybody come to my birthday party, buy a book. You know, never, you don't have to, hell, I have my sister go, oh, come and meet my sister, she's an author. You don't have to promote yourself, let someone else do it. But always think of outside the box with your book. And the other thing I think that I like is, and that I think Tim talked about, is a platform or your target market, kind of getting to them. Who are they? Who am I writing for? If it's a children's book, you want to be where children's are people with kids. You want to be in that arena. If it's a senior book about seniors, you want to kind of tackle that market. So you want to go where they are and have a platform. Give yourself a platform for your book. You know, why should I read your book? Do you like your book? If you don't like your book, I'm most certainly not going to like your book. You have to have that likability, and when you're selling a book. And a lot of festivals, I've sold more books by getting up and shaking hands with people. Hi, how are you? I'm selling my book. Come and take a look. Hi, how are you? You really have to be approachable, and you have to have a reason. Give them a reason to buy your book. Ken, and Tim, yes.
One last thing. I think you really said something very important, Willie, about thinking outside the box. Years ago, there was a fairly new genre in the cozy mystery called the food mystery, where there was something to do with food. It was a chef or a cook or someone who had recipes. And so a woman wrote a cozy mystery novel, and it involved cooking and recipes. She rented a table in a grocery store in the green section of the grocery store, the fresh produce. And she sat there all day hawking her book to people who were there to buy food. And she sold a zillion books, you know, and it's outside the box, you know, it's outside the box. I don't know if I'm going to have the nerve to pull this off, but I'm going to be releasing a book before Christmas, a children's book about climate that features a polar bear Pete. And I don't know if I have the nerve to dress up in a polar bear outfit, but I know if I put a polar bear outfit on and I go to a book fair, let me tell you, the kiddies are going to come around. So you've got to really think about how you can make a splash, you know, how you can make a splash, how you can get people to talk about you. Because they'll take videos of you, you know, they'll take pictures of you, they'll put it on their Facebook page. So you got to think of a way to make a splash, you know, to boom, you know, and think outside the box.
Yes. Tim, Ken, you have anything to add to the marketing? And I'm going to open it up for questions.
I definitely have a few ideas that I wanted to share, but one key point, you know, we're talking about, does this idea work? Does that idea work? The key point is there's no one idea that you want to do. Marketing means you got to be everywhere. The easy part is writing the book. The hard part is marketing and sales. And you got to do it every day. You got to always be thinking about it. I wanted to add a couple other thoughts, a couple other ideas. My book, which is about how to write a book, I wrote it because I'm also a member of the National Speakers Association. The reason I joined NSA is because speakers have to have books. They know that. As soon as they join, they know they need a book because it enhances their credibility and it gives them another market, another avenue, an income stream, they call it. So I wrote the book about how to write a book. But what I'm doing now, and this was an idea that someone from NSA gave me, I went through my entire book and I created 60 individual self-contained blog entries from my book. And now what I've been doing is every week I have what I call the You've Got the Time, which is my title, You've Got the Time blog series. Every week, every Monday, I post another blog. And they're written already. I mean, I've already done the writing. I wrote the whole thing in like a week, pulling from my book. Now every week I post another entry. And then once I post it, it goes out immediately to anybody who's on my mailing list. And incidentally, I'd love to add anybody here who wants to be part of it. I also post on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and I say, here's the new blog post. I don't know how many sales I've gotten. I've gotten some, I know, but I've also picked up a lot of clients. You know, so it's been a nice, it's been an amazing, I should say, way to do it. I've never did that before, so I love this method of promoting. Just turn your chapters into blogs. Another one to keep in mind is what's called a pre-publication campaign. When I was writing the book, I interviewed Mark Coker, who I told you founded Smashwords. I wanted to do a chapter on how to market and sell ebooks, and so I interviewed him. And I said to him, Mark, what's the most underused method of promoting? In other words, what idea is out there that people just don't know about and they don't use? without hesitating, he said the pre-publication campaign. What you do is now Kindle will allow you to do one, but only 60 days in advance of publication. You can't start it before that. Smashwords, they'll allow you to start it a year in advance. I happen to be fortunate enough to edit a book by two of the legendary book coaches from NSA, and their book was coming out. They were launching it at the summer conference, which is the biggest conference of the year. The conference was in July. My book was scheduled to launch the following February. In other words, 7 months later. So I couldn't do an ebook or a pre-publication campaign with Kindle, but with Smashwords, which is a year in advance, I was able to. So I started a pre-publication campaign for my ebook only, since that's all that Smashwords does. I don't know if I sold any books, but I made a lot of clients that way. What I did was I went to the NSA conference while Kathy and Lois, the two authors of the book, they were launching at, that month. They were launching at the conference. I didn't have a book to, but what I did was I had this postcard created. I don't know if you can see it, got the book title on it. And on the back, it had a couple quotes, testimonial quotes from Kathy and Lois. And so while they're out there promoting their book, I'm out there promoting my pre-book, and they're selling the book. I'm saying I edited their book. It was what we call synergy. We were helping each other.
Right.
I took advantage of their name. People looked at it and they went, "Oh, Kathy and Lois have a new book out." So I was not only promoting myself, I was promoting them at the same time. They loved it. I loved it. And it was all because I was able to do a pre-publication campaign 7 months in advance. So it's a great idea. Another idea is to be a speaker. The book that I edited of theirs was called Author Speaker. That's the title of the book. And the idea is that if you have a book, it increases your credibility as a speaker. If you're a speaker, you sell more books. So you use them both together. You're an author speaker. So that's something to keep in mind. Speak. Anywhere you can, speak. It'll sell a lot of books. Sometimes you get paid to speak. Sometimes you don't. But you've always got the books to sell, what they call back of the room sales. In other words, after the talk is done, you sell the books.
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
One other one. There are companies that can make you a bestseller. It's not a Wall Street Journal or a New York Times bestseller, which is the cream of the crop. But you can become an Amazon bestseller real easily. Now it costs. There's a big investment in that, so it's not for the faint-hearted. But if being a bestseller matters to you, that's what you do. When my book came out, I had this. If you can see this, it's a bestseller. I had that put on the book. As soon as my book became a bestseller, I immediately uploaded a new cover that had that sticker on it. So now, if you go onto Amazon looking for my book, you're going to see it's a bestseller. So it was worth it to me to do that.
Are you done?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Are you done?
Well, I'd like to add a couple more.
Open it up from some questions if you're done. I don't mean to interrupt.
Okay, let me just add a couple, because these are important ones.
Okay.
Because this is NWU now. In the NWU, we have what's called NWUSO. And I'm not even sure what it all stands for. SO, I think, is service organization. But what it is it's a 501c3 within the union. This is what I would consider the most underused benefit of our union. In other words, all of us who are in the union can use this. What you can do through NWSO is get your friends who at the end of the year, they're looking for tax breaks. They got a write-offs, they're looking for write-offs. Have them donate to NWUSO, and on the bottom left, of the check or whatever, on the memo, earmark it specifically for your book. That way, the union, they skim off like 5% for service charge, which is well worth it. You get all the rest of it. So your friends get a write-off, you get 95% of their donation. The union's money they give you, you use it to promote your book. I used it to travel. I wanted to go to conferences. I was published by Michigan State University Press for a 4-volume set of books that I edited. They were very skimpy on money that they gave me to promote the book. But using NWUSO, I raised a lot of money that enabled me to travel to conferences. Keep that in mind. One final way I'll give you right now, again, authors helping each other. There's been a thread recently on NWU Book about, should we as a union create an ad agency? Should we create a publishing company? I honestly have to say bad idea to both of them for various reasons. But what we can do is help each other to promote each other's books. Years ago, when I was the vice president of external organizing for the union, I created what was called, and some of you may remember this, I created the Authors Network. It was a wonderful, wonderful benefit that was based on the idea that there are 3 legs to any book tour. This was before, before Amazon, before, Zoom and all that. You need a venue to have your event. You need a place to stay when you're on the road, and you need media to get it out. So what we did, this was an organizing event. People in all the different chapters, they sent in reviewers from their chapter. They sent out venues from their chapter, and they sent out people in the union from their chapter who offered their homes for people places to stay. That way you could travel anywhere, and you'd have a place to stay, you'd have a venue. You had to do the work after that. You had to check out the venues and get invited. But it was a really wonderful way to go on a book tour and stay with places that, unfortunately, that has long since died, but I'd love to see it revived.
Nice.
That's all I'll say for right now.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to open it up to questions, and you can unmute yourself and ask questions that you have. Anyone have any questions? We still have a few minutes. I was reading some comments. Anybody questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I wonder if you can say something about people who are publicists or who specifically work to help authors promote their books. Is this a good thing? Are there some that are better than others? What might you think about that?
I haven't personally used one myself.
Yeah.
Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I've used or either I have paid for, or in some cases my author has paid for a publicist, and I found it's very rare that we get much for the money. Right. Now, some authors have had very good luck and good results. I have a friend who knows a woman who just went into marketing. She had retired. She was looking for something to do, and she was very approachable. And my inkling was that the authors that went to her had a good experience. But in many cases, once you give them your money up front, a lot of these marketing people, they don't answer your calls, they don't answer your emails, they don't deliver. I think you can get a lot of marketing help from members of the NWU if you join a listserv. And I'll give you an example. There are quite a few radio shows that host labor or social justice themes. And you could get recommendations to these radio people, for interviews through the listserv, right? So rather than pay a marketing agent, you can go to other authors and say, who interviewed you on the radio? Who's a journalist who did a profile on you? Where have you had luck getting a blog to pick up and so on? And if you post it to the listserv, I think you'll do better than paying someone for marketing. I can't say never. There are probably a few that will deliver, but in my experience, they're not worth the money.
I would agree with Tim on that.
Yeah.
You gotta sell a lot of books to make up for what you pay them.
Yeah, and I would say for the amount of work, the contract that they making too, sometimes you could do that yourself. You
Yeah.
really could do it yourself and save yourself and use it for your own budget. And I think, anybody else have a comment about literary publicists? I haven't
Yes.
had any good experience, and I don't know anybody who has. Yeah, Martha.
I am a poet, and you know, I don't think a lot of this will work or anything will work for poetry on, but I am curious about NWU networking, and I wonder how many NWU members are poets besides me, and who they are. Okay, I'm taking names. Am I taking
And I
names?
publish my poetry. I think it does. You can do Amazon. You can use KDP to publish a poet book. I have most of mine. I do a combination of short stories and poetry, but I do.
Well,
And a lot of this is really good.
can I ask, I know we have a book division. I don't believe we have a poetry division with the NWU. Am I wrong? Is there a poetry division?
Used to years ago, or at least a poetry department. I don't know, a caucus.
It might make sense for a couple of poets to get together and form like a caucus or a committee to promote poetry. But it's just, means a few volunteers and getting together and you know, you could probably do it through the listserv, through the book listserv.
Am I on that automatically, or how do I get on the book list, sir?
The email address, I've posted the email address twice on the chat. If you go through the chat, you should see it. So just write to them and say, please add me to the listserv.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please feel free. Time to ask your question is now.
I have a question.
Yes.
How can we best increase the chances of obtaining national media interviews?
That's a good question.
Ask. Do a press release. You got a book, send a press release to the Globe, send one to Channel 5. What is it gonna hurt?
Find out what they're looking for also, and when they need to be sent. You know, some of the big book reviewers will only look at your book before it's been published. So, you know, you have to send it to them at a certain time. I couldn't do that because, you know, 6 months before publication, I didn't have a manuscript ready to go. I was working on it right until the last minute. So I couldn't do that. But yeah, get the word out to them. If you know find out who the individual is at the venue, whatever venue is you want to be reviewed in, and write to them personally. You just have to write a compelling letter. Send a couple chapters.
I do need to caution you, though, in the majority of cases, if you're looking for a review in our major publications, New York Times, Boston Globe, Detroit Free Press, they are not going to review your book because they have an editorial policy. The publisher has got to buy ad copy in their journal. If the publisher is not buying ad copy, they're not going to review it. And that's pretty much goes across the board for most of the major publications.
For the big ones, correct.
Yeah, for the big ones. Your only chance is to get a profile article about you, but that means you have to do something really amazing or unique or different. So think about how you can make a splash with the media, have a press release and invite media to the event, and you might be able to get some coverage for your event. You know, you walk 1,000 miles, or I don't know, something. You got to think of something that you're doing that's unusual. And one last thing, let me just say, Willie, about getting speaker gigs. I tell authors, most organizations don't know who you are, don't know your book. So you do not pitch yourself to speak about your book. You pitch yourself for your expertise. right? Let's say you have a book about gardening, and you're a gardener, and you have an expertise on ferns. So you pitch yourself to speak to organizations, associations, garden clubs for your expertise, and then, as Ken said, you slide that book in at the end and you sell it at the back. But you don't ask to speak as a book author. You ask to speak as an expert in some field.
Also, watch the current events. If something happens that somehow you can make relate to your book, that's where you got to be creative sometimes. You write a news piece about the event, quote yourself as the expert, and remember, this is a press release, so it's not going to have a byline. It's not going to say by Ken Wachsberger. Ken Wachsberger said. It's not going to say that. It's just going to be a non-byline piece. They're going to look at it. If it's well written, they'll publish it, and then you appear as an expert, and your book, you're the author of. You can't really plug the book too much, but just say you're the author of, and that's good. Also, whenever you publish an article anywhere, on your byline, have your name, comma, author of. You've got to do that. But remember, so much now appears online. So say author of and put a hot link. Put the title and put the URL behind it, so that when your byline appears and it says author of, a simple click will take the readers to your book, where they can buy it.
Does that help? Does that help?
Yes, may I ask a quick follow-up?
Sure.
Okay, so other things being equal, how much, if at all, does self-publishing affect the chances of getting national media interviews? Just that factor alone.
I can't give you a percent.
For me,
I
it
can't give
depends
you a
on your
percent.
platform.
I can't give you a percent on that, but what I'll say is that the difference between independent and traditional is way down. I mean, it used to be, there was a stigma against publishing it yourself. It's gone down. It's just not there like it used to be anymore. More and more books are independent, as long as they're well written, as long as they're laid out, as long as you don't have a black cover with a white lettering. They'll look at it. Then you just have to have a good piece. Oh, I wanted to add one comment. We were talking back when about blurbs, and it's a good point that a blurb by your next door neighbor won't have as much credibility as the blurb by an expert. But keep in mind that with the internet, everybody is accessible. Everybody. So you just use your imagination and think, who would I like to review my book? Or move it a step up. Who would you like to write the foreword to your book? And shoot high, be ridiculous. Shoot high, you'll find that person. That person is out there. The phone number, the email, or a best friend who can connect you, or the school where the person teaches. Somehow that person is accessible. And then after that, you got to sell it. You got to put, send a letter with a couple good chapters and the table of contents and an overview. But everybody is accessible. I've gotten some amazing people to write forwards to my book, just because I looked at them.
Any more questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Tim, did you have something you want to add?
I think to the gentleman's question, I think self-publishing still has are less likely to get reviews in journals than if you go with an established, even a small press. It's just, I think that's the bias of the editors, because everybody's publishing a book these days. We've had someone post a question twice now about developing a mailing list.
Yeah.
And it wasn't clear in the question whether by it Juliana means an email mailing list or a print mailing list.
Julianne? Is Julianne there?
Is it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, everybody says that directly reaching out to people that we know who are on our email list. Ken mentioned the importance of the email list. I just wondered if you could say something about how to develop that. I've heard many times that that is a really important way of reaching out and promoting.
Well, when I get an email from someone and I think that they might be a potential customer, I write back to them and say, may I add you to my Hardball Press address book? Because you don't want to put people in your address book without their permission, because we get so many unsolicited emails. It's so annoying. You don't want to piss people off. But you write back, and if they say yes, I add them to, I have MailChimp, but there are different services for mass emails. I add them to my list, and it takes years to grow it. So you've just got to really work at getting in the habit as you contact people. And with Facebook, if you make friends with Facebook, you can send them a Facebook message, direct message, say, can I get your email address for my mailing address? I have a book coming out next year, or I want to update you on new releases. And would you mind? And some people often share their email address through Facebook, but you've got to start building it, and you've got to just keep going, day after day. It's a long process.
You got to keep at it. If you do any events, have a sign-up sheet. Have a sign-up sheet there, and say, I'd like your contact information for to add you to my list.
Someone has a question. If you self-publish, can you then get picked up by a traditional publisher?
50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
Good.
50 Shades, self-published. She sold a lot of copies. An editor knocked on her door, not literally, not literally where she lives, but knocked on her door, got a sweet contract. So it's possible, but you have to really establish that you have robust sales, and sales are growing, that the book is picking up steam. So it's possible, but that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a risk. It's a risk. If you publish it on your own, you have, like Tim said, you have to make the sales. If you do, then you can get picked up.
Well, I heard that from a agent too, that if you sold over 5,000 copies, I'm like, if I sold 5,000 copies, what I need you for? I'm thinking myself, I don't even need to share my money with you. I'm good. I must be doing something right. but yeah, it's right. And I
have a question for Ken.
Yeah.
Who did you say would do the bookmarks and business cards of your book?
I went to Mark's List. I told you about Mark's List, and then you can put Mark's List on Google, but you also have to put Mark's List Smashwords. I tried that before, yesterday, just to see what happened. When I did Mark's List, an LGBTQ site came up, which doesn't help any. But I
so
put
it's
Mark's List
slash.
Just put Mark's List Smashwords.
Okay.
That's all,
Okay.
and it'll come up. And then just look at the list. You've got everybody who's willing to, who knows how to do coding, and who's willing to do it at a nice low price. And they describe who they are, what books they've done, what specialty they have, if they have any, and just look. It becomes a crapshoot, really. You have to ultimately figure out one that the vibes feel right. Write to them, interview them, see what they have to say. Ultimately, you just have to choose one and see if it works. And if they work, stick with them. If not, you go for someone else.
Any more questions, please ask your question. The time is now. You have another one. Somebody said, great information. No questions? No questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Judy. I have a question. If you are in the process of writing a book, I've heard that you should market your book 6 months to a year in advance. How do you do that if you're not finished the book? If you haven't finished the book, how do you market that?
Social media is a good place for that. Just start talking, friend to friend. Hey, I got a book coming out. Talk about it. You throw the working title on, say, what do you think of this? And people give you comments about the book, about the title. If you have a working title, put the cover up.
Oh, okay.
Say, what do you think of this? And people start talking about the book. At some point, if you have any chapters that are ready for review, say, I've got the book's coming out. Would anybody like to look at one of my chapters and get people to look at that? When people review a chapter, they're buying into your book. And so when the book comes out, you've already got sales ready to go. And incidentally, anybody who does anything to help your book, anything, put them in the acknowledgments. Don't forget that. There's no such thing as too many names in the acknowledgments. I had one person I listed. He said, "Wow, this is so cool. I've never been in a book before." And all I did was acknowledge that he helped. So
it's almost
anyhow, that's what you do. You just start talking about it early on.
Thank you.
Almost guaranteed at least 3 sales, right?
Okay.
Judy,
Yes.
about your suggestion,
If you
Judy,
ain't got any friends, you got more sales.
Okay.
about Judy's suggestion about building as you're writing, some authors have actually started a blog about the process of writing their book. And they write about the challenges. My kid had me up all night, and I wanted to edit the chapter, and how could I feed the baby and edit the, you know what I mean? And so they created, a conversation that people joined into and listened to, and they wrote comments to them. Oh, I've been through the same thing, and so on. And I had to research, and I didn't know where to go. Where do you think I should go to research this issue? Anyone have any ideas? And they built a following through their blog, and then when the book was done, they already had a built-in mailing list. So it's a possibility.
Okay.
It's a lot of work. But It's
Yeah.
a possibility.
One
I have
other
a blog, but it's not about that. But I'll thank you. I'll take that into consideration.
But you talk anyway. You talk to your friends all the time.
Yeah.
I have a question. You might have mentioned this. Who would you suggest to edit your book reasonably? Anyone?
You're putting me on the spot there. I would say me. But
There are several.
you got to feel around. I'll say this though, because I'm not the cheapest. If you want to go to, one way to get low cost and fairly decent quality is go to your local college. Go to the English department. Find somebody who's a master's in creative writing or just master's in English. They're probably pretty decent in that, and they'll give you pretty low prices.
You need to decide what kind of editing do you want, because there's all kinds of editing services, from like story editing. Do you want someone to go around and say, okay, now your story has holes in it, there are weaknesses, the character, logic, inconsistency of character, or do you want to copy edit for like typos, grammar, sentence construction? But if you feel it's polished and just needs that final fine-tuned copy editing paragraph, like, I had a manuscript sent to me, and one paragraph filled a whole page, and I can't print that. There's a whole theory behind white space on the page, how much white space you need. But you can post to the NW book listserv and say, this is what I need, this is the type of editing I need, this is the number of words I have, I'm on a budget, would anyone like to bid on it? And you can get different editors to bid on it. There's a woman in DC who's a doll, she's wonderful. I don't know what she charges, she's wonderful. There are lots of people there are a lot of good editors in NWU. Yeah, here's someone, Barbara Mendy, she's a copy editor. So you want to decide what type of editing you need and then put it out to bid.
Okay.
Put it out to bid and see,
I've been working on this book so long, and I've had a lot of people, look at it, and, and I'm just like, you just get so fed up with going over and over again.
Sure.
Somebody said Reedy's, Reedsy.
Yes. Yeah.
What is that? I haven't heard of it.
I've looked at Reedy's website, and they really do print out, they produce a lot of information for writers about publishing, about the publishing business, about, industry standards in terms of payment. So it's a really good site to visit and browse,
Yeah, I agree.
It's just, okay.
Yeah. I
Somebody
absolutely
else
have
is
agree.
listings of, a lot of people talk at one. They have listings of people who provide various services with like links to work they've done in addition to all the other support stuff. So that's why.
Plus, they have workshops too
Yeah.
on various kinds of genres in writing, and they're free for the most part. So it's not a bad thing.
Oh, okay. If there are editors on today, if you send me your, if you send us your name, my website is, my email is willieaweb@gmail.com. If you're an editor, I can just send your name out to everybody that's on here on the mailing list if you're an editor. And if you are whatever your specialty is, I can just send it out to everybody here, and they'll have an opportunity to interview you. So that gives them more information. We got 1 minute without going too far over, Barbara. Thank you. Any more questions, opportunities to ask the question? I hear we got 2 experts, 2.5 experts.
I just have I have one question.
Yes.
I'm a first-time author, and I expected to self-publish, and I've interviewed a few editors the last couple of weeks and sent them chapters. And I assumed I was going to self-publish, and all 3 of them think I should try to get a publishing deal, traditional publishing deal. Is it much better? I mean, why would somebody not do a traditional publishing deal if they could get one?
Because the contracts are horrendous. Certainly there are advantages. There are pros and cons. I'm not going to say that that traditional publishing is never good. They probably have better distribution, probably better chance to get the movies. There's a lot you can get out of traditional, but make sure, and this is another union benefit, before you sign a contract, when you find yourself looking at the boilerplate that they send you, before you sign it, get yourself a contract advisor. Right to Barbara Mende, who's in your chapter, and just say, Barbara, I need a contract advisor. She'll send it out to one of the contract advisors.
Join the Writers Union.
Absolutely.
Join the Writers Union if you're looking, because that's part of the Writers Union benefit.
Yep.
I think, Tim, you are too, aren't you? You were an advisor, you used to be, right? Anything else, Dan? You had another question?
No, that's it.
Anyone else? Opportunities to ask any question you like. It's never gonna get any better than this.
Aurora's comment is correct. I'm reading it right now. Totally correct. They do very little marketing.
Read it. What does she say?
I can't read it now, but
Who wrote it?
Aurora.
Aurora, are you there? Say what your comment was.
I'm about to. They do almost no marketing. You earn a very small percentage, so you need to sell a lot of copies in order to earn well. Also, commercial publishers will often only devote about 6 to 8 weeks to marketing the new book before they go on the next project. So
by the time your book comes out, there are already 2 to 3 catalogs ahead of you. They do very little marketing. And some of them won't even allow you to buy books in bulk to resell. They won't even let you buy books, your own books, to sell.
Wow.
Call that the drunk lawyer clause.
Jane, our co-chair of the Boston chapter, you have anything you want to say? No? Okay. All right. It's 1 o'clock. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Tim, Ken, Barbara Mendez, and all the Writers Union, Larry, Go Better, who sent the email out to encourage people to come. I hope you guys this was helpful. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you'd like to see us do something like this again, please let us know.
Thank you for
I wanna
inviting
say
me.
Shout out to Tim and Ken. I know, give them a thumbs up, or a happy clap, or something, a wave.
Thanks so much for
Oh,
inviting me.
wow. Yeah, you have
Thank
the
you, Willie.
email, you have my email. If you like to reach out, please feel free to do so. And did I leave anybody out? Did I leave it? I don't think I left anybody out, right? Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you for coming.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.